I'm Katie McCorkle, so I'm a senior director at EPMI. So I normally serve as solution architect for account reconciliation and financial consolidation and close projects. Uh, Usually I'm also assigned as a lead consultant. That could be for account recs, that could be for consolidation and close. Recently, I've done a lot of integrations work as well. So in practice, what that means, I'm usually on the projects helping design the overall architecture. So that's how everything connects, how the data flows, how the close process is structured. And then I'll be working hands-on with the team to actually build it. I am involved in pretty much all aspects of the project. So that could be discovery with potential clients, estimating the level of effort during the sales cycle. And then once it switches to the actual project, I'll be involved in kickoff and requirements design, build, all the way through training and go live.
What was your career background before EPMI?
So I actually started my career in accounting. So I started off as a staff accountant. I did a ton of intercompany reconciliations. As anyone in accounting knows, those are not the most fun thing to do. So my former company was changing quite a bit. We had a really old version of what is now FCCS, or Financial Consolidation and Close. It was called Hyperion Enterprise. My boss at the time basically said, "You're young, you know computers, we need an admin." So they made me the admin of Hyperion Enterprise. So from there, my role kept evolving, took on more responsibilities accounting wise, and then gradually more systems were added to my plate. So eventually I was administering our ERP, HFM. We had Blackline, so that was account reconciliations and task manager, and then even our expense management software. So I ended up administering all of these different things. So I didn't just own them, I didn't just use them, I owned them. I also helped with implementations along the way, with planning when we went from enterprise to HFM, and then different upgrades. So it really pulled me into the EPM world.
What challenges can organizations face in their EPM journey?
Things like reconciliations are done manually, consolidations are done manually, they're all done offline. They may be stored in, shared drives, whether that's, Google Drive or Microsoft, SharePoint, things like that, shared drives. So there's multiple versions of things, heavy reliance on certain individuals, and then really long close cycles. Visibility, I've said it multiple times, is always, a problem for people. So what they're doing might work, but eventually that's going to break down. So what Cloud EPM usually does is it brings, transparency and accountability, and then just version control. People can go into a single system, see where things are. Leadership can see where statuses are. Teams aren't chasing things in email. They aren't working off different versions of things. And then with integrations of data, you have, one version of the truth, and people aren't touching it. There's no manual interaction with data, so data is flowing directly from one system to the other. So all of these things, help clients see things more easily, and then it just reduces stress during the close, because you're not trying to figure out which version of a spreadsheet, or where are we in the process.
What has been your favorite project outcome?
My most recent project was with an oil and gas company. I really liked that project just because they were so incredibly engaged. They were excited about the project. They asked tons of questions. They wanted to know how the system worked. They were really eager to learn, which makes such a difference when you're going through an implementation. We've had a lot of experiences where, either management decided to do this implementation and the actual users weren't, that psyched about it. But this client in particular, everybody was on board, and it just made things go so smoothly. I worked on the integrations for that project, and the source files were a bit tricky. So it was really fun for me. This sounds really nerdy, but it was really fun for me because I got to figure out some really complicated integrations and how to transform these files that had, special characters and, weird characters in there and things like that. And just being able to figure that out and have the data flow in smoothly was really fun. Again, I know that sounds really nerdy, but it was just great to figure these challenges out. And then also to be able to help the client with getting all of their data in one place so that they could actually see it all together. It was rewarding, I guess is the right word for it, but it was really fun.
How do you spend your time outside of EPMI?
I really like to read. So I try to balance like fiction and nonfiction. So I really like to read about like historical events or historical crimes. And then it's also I like to read fiction because I like to get lost in like a really good story. I'm a big fan of like brain puzzles, so like crosswords, Sudoku, word puzzles, stuff like that. Really like to travel. So whenever my husband and I travel, we always have a bit of a system. So we always go to a museum that's like about the city or the state that we're in, and then we find an art museum, we find a local brewery, and then we find a local restaurant. Not necessarily like what's in the travel guides or stuff like that, but we'll usually ask like a bartender or a server like, what's your favorite restaurant, and we try and go there.